Thanks everyone for being here. This is a kind of a reprise of a press conference that originated last year around this time at the start of the month. My name is Dominick Pangallo. I'm the mayor of Salem, and we're here to share some information and updates about how to visit Salem safely in the month of October, which is our busiest time for visitation. You know, Salem is a fun and vibrant city all year round, but really want to encourage people to plan ahead, think carefully about how they're going to visit here. And if you're able to consider taking public transportation, take the train, take the ferry, come by bike, come by broom, but try not to come by car if you can avoid it. We strongly encourage you to think about leaving your car at home. We have very limited parking in Salem, and for your benefit to have a really enjoyable visit, so you're not spending time in traffic, paying a lot for parking, getting really frustrated. Take the train. We're going to have a little update about the train frequency that's going to be in place for the month of October, and it's the easiest, cheapest, and quickest way to get to Salem. I also want to share some quick updates about our visitation. So last year, Salem, over the month of October, saw just about 1 million visitors to our downtown throughout the course of the month. And for a city of 45,000 people, that's pretty significant. We love welcoming people to Salem. It's an important part of our economy. It's a way that we help tell our story and tell our history. But we encourage you to visit responsibly if you're here. So remember that if you're planning to visit Salem, we ask for your assistance in respecting our downtown residents, our neighborhoods. Please follow all the posted signage you see about parking restrictions, about noise limitations. That Salem is a hometown to many of us, and we love it here. We think that you'll love it as well, but if you're planning to visit Salem, please do so responsibly. So joining me for today's press conference, I'm pleased to welcome the CEO and General Manager of Keolis Commuter Services, Abdellah, ChaJai, to share a little bit about the additional train service that will be in place through the month of October.
Thank you, Mayor Pangallo. So I'm Abdellah ChaJai. I'm the CEO of Keolis Commuter Services, the MBTA operating partner for the Commuter Rail. Keolis is proud this year to partner with MBTA and to partner with the Mayor Pangallo to meet that incredible public demand to visit Salem in October and to try to get people out of their car into the commuter rail. Because basically experiencing the Salem this month should be an adventure, it doesn't mean that getting there has to be one. So, and commuter rail is a reliable and a safe option to get here. So we are increasing the service. So basically every weekend in October, you will get a train every 30 to 40 minutes from North Station to Salem. I wanted to highlight the fact that we are expecting high level of ridership and major crowds. So I would like to ask our passengers to help us make their journey safer and basically follow the instruction of our train crew and also stay behind the yellow line. It's the obvious, but I just want to say it, and never, but never go onto the train track. And I wanted to add a few highlights. So why this year is also different from previous years. The first one is for the fall we are bringing back the late night service, and that has started last Monday, yesterday. And this late night service means that the last train that is leaving now Salem to North Station at Boston is leaving at 12:35 a.m. So that's good for people to get back to Boston. And I would like also to ask all riders that there is now the $10, it's a reminder, there is a $10 weekend pass that they can use, and this year, compared to the previous year, they can use it on the bank holiday, the federal holidays. All riders can purchase their ticket through the M-Ticket app. And to finish that, I would just say thank you to Mayor Pangallo, thank you to the MBTA, and we hope everyone enjoys a great Halloween season. Thank you very much.
So $10 ticket to take the train. It's going to cost you $50 or more to park in Salem, $75 if you get a ticket. So it's definitely a better deal to take the commuter rail if you're able to. Just to provide some additional context to the numbers that I mentioned earlier. So we averaged about 80 to 82,000 people every Saturday in October last year. It ranged from about 40 to over 100,000 one Saturday. We have about 4,000 public parking spaces downtown. And when we add our satellite lots, that's an additional 1,300 spaces. So even with those additional satellite spaces, we don't have the capacity for parking that many people. So we rely on our partners at the Commuter Rail and Keolis. We rely on the Salem Ferry. If you go to salemferry.com, you can find out more about taking the fast ferry from Boston. We'll be upgrading from the 150 passenger ferry to a larger vessel that has 600 passenger capacity halfway through the month. So it won't be running on a more frequent schedule, but it will be running a larger vessel, and that is weather dependent. So you want to make sure you check in advance before going. But it's a very pleasant way to come to Salem from the Boston area. It's about a 45 to 50-minute ferry ride, and we strongly encourage you to consider that as well. It takes you right to Salem Wharf on William Street. So next, I'd like to welcome to the podium Chief Lucas Miller from the Salem Police Department.
Thank you, Mayor Pangallo. Thank you, Mr. ChaJai. I'm going to talk a little about all the partners we have in preparation for Halloween in October in Salem, but none is more important than Keolis and the MBTA, and I'll talk a little bit about why in a minute. But I wanted to talk about all the preparations we do for public safety and for policing Salem during the month of October. I welcomed you a little earlier to the Salem Police headquarters, and this police headquarters is named after Robert St. Pierre, one of my predecessors, long-serving police chief in Salem and still a tremendous asset to Salem. But this plan to police Halloween was put together under his tenure, and since then we've refined it every year based on what we learned the previous Halloween. So the plan hasn't differed dramatically, but it gets a little bit better every year. And what we do is we in effect create a second police department to police downtown Salem. Because of the number of crowds and the traffic, getting around downtown really becomes very, very difficult, and the volume of calls increases dramatically. So we also want to retain our ability to respond to public safety incidents outside of the downtown area, right? If you don't live downtown, you may have need to call the police, and you deserve just as swift police response during Halloween, during October, than any other time. So one police department to police the rest of Salem, and one police department to police downtown, with a separate dispatch, separate commanders, and individual sectors downtown. Obviously, most of those officers will be either on foot, on bicycle, or on other sort of non-standard vehicles. We have several gators that we use to move equipment around. But we also rely on other departments, right? The Salem Police Department is just shy of 100 sworn police officers. We employ another 25 or so civilians. That's not nearly enough to cover some of the busy days during the month of October. As the mayor mentioned, we've had over 100,000 visitors on a specific day. That requires a significant increase in police personnel. We rely on neighboring departments for mutual aid. We rely on NEMLEC, that's the Northeastern Massachusetts Law Enforcement Council, sort of regional task force. We rely on the Essex County Sheriff's Department, and we rely on a number of other departments and outfits for specialized units. Explosive ordnance detection dogs, rapid response teams, SWAT, additional bicycles, additional communications capacity, and motorcycles. The Massachusetts State Police are invaluable to us during this time, along with the FBI, the ATF, and the National Park Service. That volume of people in downtown Salem requires that we shut down streets. We shut those streets down both to protect all the pedestrian traffic that's going on there, but also simply because the motor vehicle traffic gets to be too much. It becomes impossible to move emergency vehicles around if our streets are jammed solid with vehicles. Furthermore, the parking becomes a tremendous issue. simply with the number of people on a non-Halloween weekend, parking is difficult in downtown Salem. On the Saturdays and Sundays leading up to Halloween and on Halloween itself, it becomes really impossible. So I would like to echo the mayor's message to please take public transportation. Getting stuck in traffic where you haven't even entered the city of Salem yet is not nearly as much fun as taking the train in. We have a increased ferry capacity, so there's all sorts of ways you can get to Salem besides driving your car. We recommend parking in Beverly. You can drive to Beverly and take the train one stop, or the MBTA train from North Station in Boston takes about 35 minutes. On the best of days, you can't drive to Salem in 35 minutes. On Halloween, it'll be 3 times that at best. And then, as the mayor mentioned, the parking is simply impossible. We do our best to try to keep life as normal for Salem residents as possible during this month. It is something of a burden, but I think I can speak for most city residents when I say we welcome visitors for Halloween, but not your cars. We do have satellite parking with shuttles coming in, but even those are not adequate to contain cars if everybody drives. So, I know I'm repeating myself, but I will say again, please take public transportation if you're planning to come to Salem in October. And happy Halloween.
We'll open up for questions in a second. The last thing I wanted to add was if you want to receive updates and information about visiting the City of Salem, there's a number of ways for you to be able to do that. You can download the City of Salem's app called My Salem MA for your mobile device and enable notifications. You'll get updates every time there's a road closure or a garage fills up. Similarly, Destination Salem, which is our destination marketing organization, has their own app as well. For Destination Salem, you can download that app and turn on notifications to receive those updates. Visit salemma.gov, that's the city's website for information about the shuttle parking lots. And you can also visit hauntedhappenings.org for information about all that there is to do here in Salem throughout the month of October. So with that being said, I'm happy to open it up for questions for myself, for either of the speakers that are up here.
Are you using the same technology to track weekend visitors, and do you have any awareness of how big this most recent weekend was and what rider demand was like and things like that?
So we use a system called Placer AI to estimate crowd sizes, and we are still using that this year. This past weekend was slightly less than the first weekend of October last year. We don't have the complete data for Sunday yet. It lags by a few days. So the Friday-Saturday data was just a little under the Friday-Saturday of the first weekend of October. It was 2 days of September, so not exactly comparable. On balance, I think it's pretty average for what we've seen over the last few years. Last year's total visitation was about 35% more than the total visitation in October of 2019, just before the first year of the pandemic. So we've kind of exceeded the peak of the pre-pandemic visitation, and it looks like we're pretty much on track to maintain that progress. I can't speak to the ridership. I don't know.
So for the ridership, how it's done, we have conductors on board that basically count the passengers. So just to give you some so we can see starting some weekends movement. So usually we've got 10,000 passenger a weekend. Last weekend was 14,000. So you can start to see that shift, 14% more, 15% more. So, and we are aligned with what we have seen last year. So thank you.
So the Friday and Saturday combined was about 50,000 people in the downtown area. Was the count.
And then in regards to costumes, weapons, anything you want to share on that? Because I know usually that's an issue on Halloween, but where there's so many people coming in costumes before Halloween.
Yes, so as in previous years, we have a policy of no weapons on the streets of Salem, whether they're parts of costumes or not, just in the interest of public safety and that kind of density of crowds. It's an important point, and it's an inflexible one. I should also mention along those lines drones, right? I know the use of private drones is not permitted within Salem. mostly due to the proximity of Beverly Airport, but really in this case also because of the density of crowds. Something falls from the sky, and during Halloween, chances are you're going to hit a visitor to Salem. So we will have anti-drone units from the state police also working during those busy times.
For the chief, you mentioned the two separate police forces, so to
Yes.
speak. So what would the downtown one, what does that entail, and what is their job?
So we break the downtown area up into sectors, the same way that we break Salem itself into beats, and then assign individual teams to those sectors. Again, the same way we would assign a beat car to a larger area in Salem, and then the dispatch for downtown and the commander downtown will deploy those officers the same way that a dispatcher for Salem would deploy cars for doing a normal working day in Salem.
And the things that they are doing down there would be?
Well, it ranges from all of the things attendant to Halloween, crowds, medical issues, and I'm happy to report that in the last couple of years it's been quite calm. No amount of people, that amount of people will not be totally calm, but the issues of real violence have been almost non-existent, and we're grateful for that.
I just have a question for Mayor Pangallo.
Yep.
If a visitor is planning to come to Salem on Halloween night on Tuesday, what time should they plan on leaving town that day?
Leaving Salem?
Yes.
So the closing fireworks will take place around 10 o'clock, and that really signifies the end of the events. We will have live performances around the downtown on stages again to provide some activities for people to partake in and watch. And then when the fireworks go off right over the train station, that's the sign that the last train is getting ready to head out shortly, and you should make your way to the train station or towards however you arrived to leave the city. Great. Thank you all very much. Happy October.